Hi, I'm Georgette Farkas, and I'm welcoming you here into my home kitchen because I'd like to make you a pumpkin pie, the taste of fall season, especially with Thanksgiving around the corner. Not just any pumpkin pie, a pumpkin chiffon pie made extra light and fluffy with egg whites and whipped cream and, of course, a wonderfully crunchy graham cracker crumb crust. So come on in and we'll make a pie. So my pumpkin pie starts with a graham cracker crumb crust, so you have that nice crunchy texture to contrast with the smooth, creamy pumpkin pie filling. So you've got graham cracker crumbs, butter of course, just a little sugar. You don't need too much sugar because the filling will be sweet. I add a drop of clove and just a touch of salt. There you go. Okay, we're going to start by putting the graham cracker crumb crust into the pie tin. And this is a little different from a classic American pumpkin pie because we're using a removable bottom tin. That means we don't have to bring the pie tin to the table. So you're just going to press this in. You could use a cup or something flat to press, but the hands are just fine. Okay, my crust is nice and even. I'm going to put it on a baking sheet so it's nice and stable in the oven. That removable bottom won't go anywhere. And 325 degrees, about 20 to 25 minutes. In it goes. We might want to check it and turn it about halfway through, then we'll take it out and let it cool. Now we've prepared our crust. It'll go in the oven, and we're going to move on to the filling. Of course, the main ingredient is the pumpkin. It's just plain cooked pumpkin, not pumpkin pie mix, so good old pumpkin puree. Some milk, eggs, gelatin to give the pie just a little something to hold it together, the filling, some sugar and spices, cinnamon and some freshly grated nutmeg. We're going to start with the eggs. We're going to separate them because the yolks are going to get cooked and the whites are going to get beaten with some sugar to give this pie its real light and fluffy texture. So let's see, get our yolks out of here. All right. The egg whites we're going to use later. The yolks are going to get mixed with a bit of this milk and cream combination. And actually, it's all going to get cooked briefly here on the stove. So that's our milk and cream and our egg yolks. There's a bit of gelatin just to hold this together, just about 2 teaspoons. I have some cinnamon, about 1 teaspoon. I also had a little pinch of salt in there. I had it all in one place to make it efficient. I'm going to grate some nutmeg in here. It's probably about a 1/4 teaspoon, but that's for the nutmeg. And it does need some sugar, a little less than 1/2 cup, because again, there's sugar in the crust, there's sugar in the filling. Don't want too much sugar happening here. So let's get this going on a nice low flame. Because it has the eggs, you want to be careful and stick with it and make sure the flame doesn't get too high. You don't want to end up with pumpkin scrambled eggs. Should take a little bit less than 5 minutes. You'll see it start to thicken. The filling doesn't actually get baked. That's why it's cooked a little bit here first to make sure the eggs are cooked through and the gelatin is melted and everything gels so that when you set your pie in the refrigerator, it'll be just the right consistency. Only the crust is baked, not the filling. So here you can see that it's a good deal thicker. I'm going to remove it from the flame. You can sort of see that classic, back of the spatula test. Time to add our pumpkin. Okay, now it's starting to look like pumpkin pie. I am going to transfer it out of this pot because we do want it to cool. We're in the final stage, in the final countdown to the chiffon part of the pumpkin chiffon pie. So we have some egg whites. I'm going to let the machine do the heavy lifting there. So we'll get that going. Then when your egg whites are almost fully beaten, we're going to slowly add a little bit of sugar. It gives them a nice sort of smooth, creamy texture, and it'll make it much easier to fold them into our pumpkin fillings. All right, thank you, machine. So you see we have these nice kind of creamy egg whites that the sugar made them kind of smooth by adding that sugar in slowly at the last minute. The other step of the chiffon in this pumpkin chiffon pie is going to be some whipped cream. Some will go on top, and some will actually get folded in. It makes for quite a decadent pie. And you know what? I think we're going to add just a drop of vanilla for flavor. So, boop, there you go. That's quite enough. So, I'm not going to use the machine this time. We'll just whip away. Did a little exercise this morning. Slowly but surely thickening. Before you know it, whipped cream. Didn't even need a machine. So, and I didn't sweeten this whipped cream because the crust has sugar, the filling has sugar, so quite sweet enough. I'm going to put just a little bit here, maybe about half a cup into my filling. Save the rest for the top. So I have my filling. I'm going to fold in this whipped cream, just a little extra bit of richness and lightness. So folding is usually in this kind of circular motion. I'm not worried too much about breaking down the whipped cream because the egg whites are also going to make this quite light and fluffy. So this is just a little extra richness. Now when you're folding in egg whites, you want to take usually about your first, I don't know, third or so, and incorporate that pretty well because that will lighten everything up and it'll make it easier to add the final amount. Light and fluffy this is going to be, nothing like a traditional pumpkin pie. This is really putting the chiffon in our pumpkin chiffon pie. Last bit, which we'll fold in quite gently to keep that airy fluffiness. All right, here's where the chiffon meets the tart shell. Okay, the tart shell's been baked. It's all perfectly cooled. You could see it's got a nice sort of crunchy crust to it. I let it get a little bit brown. So away we go with our chiffon filling. You can see with your eyes, I think, just how light it is and how it stands out from the more typical pumpkin pie. Good to the last drop. So the tart shell is nice and crisp and crunchy. It's been baked and cooled. The pumpkin chiffon filling is super light and fluffy and airy, light as a cloud. We put the two together, and now, next step, into the refrigerator it goes to set overnight. So if you're making this for your Thanksgiving holiday, you'll definitely want to prepare this the day before. So this tart is already pretty both rich and light at the same time, but I'm just going to give it a little flourish of whipped cream. I do think you should serve some whipped cream on the side. Never enough. Just a little rustic touch. So our pumpkin chiffon tart.